Let's be real for a second. Are you constantly busy? I mean, always putting out fires, responding to every single urgent request? So many leaders are. But here's the thing. Is all that running around actually getting you anywhere? Is it taking your organization in the right direction? Okay, in this explainer, we're going to unpack a really powerful framework that'll help you shift from just being busy to being truly intentional. You know, it's so easy for leaders to get stuck on what you might call the leadership treadmill. You're running and running and running, but the scenery never really changes. Sound familiar? Your world is just this whirlwind of demands that probably feels a little something like this. Okay, first up, boom, admissions. That pipeline, yeah, it always has to be full. That's a constant pressure point right there. And at the exact same time, guess who's looking over your shoulder? The board. And they want growth. They want bigger, better results, and they kind of wanted them yesterday. So then you turn your attention inward. You look at your own team, and you see they're stretched thin. Morale is, well, it's all over the place. Some people are doing great, others are really struggling. Oh, and just to keep things interesting, right when you think you might catch your breath, your biggest competitor drops this slick new campaign. Now everyone's looking at you like, okay, what are we going to do about that? So you jump from one thing to the next. You approve every idea, you chase every urgency, but then you look up and a whole year has gone by. And that's when you have to ask yourself the million-dollar question, do we actually move forward? Or did we just stay busy? And that question right there is everything. It's where we need to draw a huge, clear line between just managing the day-to-day chaos and actually thinking strategically to build for the future. So let's really break down what that means. Think of it this way. Management, that's reactive. It's firefighting. Your job is basically to keep the current machine running without it completely breaking down. But strategic thinking is totally different. It's proactive. It's about being an architect, designing and building the stronger, better machine you're going to need for tomorrow. So what do we actually mean by strategic thinking? Well, here it is. It's a discipline. It's the ability to pull yourself up out of all that daily noise, look around, and pinpoint what really matters. And then, this is the most important part, making conscious choices to build for the future. Okay, that sounds great, but how do you actually do it? Well, there's a fantastic way to approach this, using 5 powerful mental models, or what we'll call lenses. Think of them like putting on different pairs of glasses that help bring your biggest challenges into super sharp focus. All right, first up is the priority lens. And this one starts with a simple, kind of brutal truth. You can't do it all. Every single organization has way more good ideas than time, more ambitions than budget, and more needs than resources. It's just a fact. And I love this quote because it just nails the point. Your job as a leader is not to be a superhero who does everything. Your job is to be a strategist who decides what matters most right now, what can wait until later, and, this is huge, what you have to intentionally say no to. And that leads us perfectly into our second lens, which, honestly, is where leadership gets uncomfortable. This is the trade-off lens. Because once you accept you can't do everything, you have to start making some really hard choices. For instance, do you chase after growth right now, even though you know your internal systems are a bit shaky? Or do you hit pause, strengthen your foundation, and then grow? How about this one? Do you pour money into marketing to get more attention? Or into your team to improve the quality of what you do? Saying yes to one means saying not now to the other. That's not weakness. That's what strategic maturity really is. Okay, on to our third tool, the capacity lens. This one helps you avoid one of the biggest mistakes leaders make, and that's setting these huge goals that your organization has absolutely no capacity to support. It's kind of like trying to power a whole skyscraper with a couple of AA batteries. It's just not going to work. And here's the crucial point. Without the right systems, the right people, and the right financial runway, your grand strategy is just a wish. It's an aspiration. A strategic leader doesn't just ask, what do we want to achieve? They also ask, what do we need to build internally to be strong enough to actually pull it off? Now let's talk about time. The time horizon lens reminds us that strategic leaders have to operate on 3 timelines, all at once. There's the immediate, the urgent risks and fires of right now. There's the medium term, the key improvements you need to make this year. And then there's the long term, the vision for what you must become in 3 to 5 years. A leader who only lives in the now might survive, but they will never, ever thrive. And finally, we have the alignment lens. Look, you can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if it just exists in a document on a shelf or only in your head, it's completely useless. Alignment is all about making sure every single part of the organization, from senior leaders to how you spend money to your daily meetings, is all pointing in the exact same direction.
So what happens when you ignore these lenses? Let's look at a quick cautionary tale about a well-meaning organization that tried to do everything all at once.
They wanted to be the best, so in a single year, they decided to rebrand, renovate their space, launch a new digital platform, expand their targets, revise their core curriculum, and restructure their staff. Now, each of those ideas was good on its own, but all together, it was absolute chaos. The team was confused, quality dropped, and nothing was done well. And here's the key insight. The problem wasn't a lack of effort. People were working incredibly hard. The problem was a complete failure of strategic sequencing. They never stopped to choose not just what to do, but when and in what order. So how do you avoid that trap? How do you make that shift from just random action to focused, deliberate intention? Well, it all comes down to a set of disciplined habits. Truly strategic leaders regularly step back from the noise to see the big picture. They clarify and then ruthlessly protect the top few priorities. They always check if they have the capacity before they launch something new. They sequence their big initiatives like a master chess player, and they communicate those priorities over and over and over again until they are totally baked into the culture. It all boils down to this really powerful idea. Just because you're moving, that doesn't mean you're making progress. Busyness can feel really productive, but a lot of the time, it's just a sign that you're drifting. And that brings us right back to you. I want you to take a hard, honest look at your work, your team, your organization. Is your leadership defined by frantic busyness, or is it defined by focused, deliberate intention? The answer to that question changes absolutely everything.